I'm going to give it a minute before I start, see if a few people show up. All right, Friday morning, Friday afternoon. Okay. I don't want to wait too long, so I'll go ahead and start. Right on. Thanks, Nolan. I'm going to finish this portrait and start a new one. So, not sure how long I'll be on today, but long enough to get a few things done. Sorry for all the noise. We live in one of the loudest buildings ever. The noise you hear is my upstairs neighbor just walking out from taking the trash. He's the same guy that's been learning Wonderwall for like 4 months, full volume at 4 a.m. I swear he's kind of on the same like guitar trajectory that I was on in the 90s, where he's learning like Wonderwall, and then Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, and then Slide. It's like some of the worst songs to hear on repeat. I used to think it was bad because he was learning how to play piano before, and you could hear him pounding on the piano because it just reverberates through the floor. But now, like bad strumming, bad chord positions, and loud fake British accent late at night. He also, it's our upstairs neighbor, he tends to walk like he has peg legs. No offense to any pirates out there. It's more like, I wouldn't say a struggle, it's more like, it's like having wet pants all the time. It's just a pain in the ass. It's annoying. But being like an ex-musician, ex-guitar teacher, hearing those songs for this many months with no improvement is like a nail to my brain. But maybe he's happy, so yeah, good for him. My wife keeps saying maybe he's learning songs to impress a girl. Or a guy, whatever. We are in San Francisco. But if that's the case, I would suggest he learn something else because it's not impressive. this in a little. Is everybody that's watching aware of who I'm drawing? Does everyone know who Jimi Hendrix is? Oh wow. If you've got good echo in the warehouse that you're in, you can play music out loud. You should hop off here and go listen to the Jimi Hendrix Experience song Highway Child. That's my all-time favorite Hendrix song. It's like three of the best musicians to have ever lived. But modern guitar sounds like it does because of Hendrix. But yeah, I give full permission to bail on this live to go introduce yourself to that if you can. A million great songs. Not a million, but enough. Highway Child's my favorite. It's one of like the lesser known ones. Not to be confused with Voodoo Child or Voodoo Child's Light Return, the Highway Child. It was originally one of the British releases. But that's like the version of Hendrix that I liked in terms of the band and the sound. It was Mitch Mitchell on drums and Noel Redding on bass. Noel Redding was kind of I don't know, like a virtuoso blues guitar player that played bass with him. Yeah, I don't think anyone could be disappointed. That's my favorite song, but I could recommend a ton of other stuff. There's all the classics like Purple Haze, Hey Joe, um, Voodoo Child, stuff like that, Foxy, all those. But I really like Crosstown Traffic, Gypsy Eyes. Um, there's like probably the most famous one that you've definitely heard in movies or just in general in pop culture is his Bob Dylan cover of All Along the Watchtower. It's like in every Vietnam scene in any movie ever. Yeah, it occurs to me the last two people I've drawn, Willie Nelson's I think like 92 and Hendrix died I think in 69, so I imagine not a lot of younger people know who they are. But of all the Hendrix stuff, I'd say my favorite is like the earlier stuff with him and Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding. I never really got into Axis Bold as Love, which is a slightly different lineup. Which, like my brother, who's a Hendrix fanatic, is more into that one. There's also great if you're like looking for just like a concert to have on. There's Hendrix. I think it's live in Sweden. It's black and white footage, and it's three guys kind of at their prime, like loud as can be, playing through multiple stacks, and just kind of chaos. Like they haven't played together in I think a few weeks when that concert happened. So they're like music starts and they're not all ready to start playing, so they're like tuning while the other ones are kind of carrying like a groove. It's pretty cool. But the full concert I think is like 45 minutes. It's on YouTube. do some cleanup later. I know. Honestly, I thought you were the only one watching before. So, had a couple random people in, I guess. Seems like morning streams are not as high trafficked as evening. Just sort of like against all the research. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. It's partially trying to catch East Coast in Europe as well. But it also could just be because I'm just now starting back up with the daily live streams. So when I did like the 35 days in a row, the live streams were pretty heavily trafficked. But those were all in the evening, so maybe I'll get back to that at some point. Take a quick coffee break. Oh, cool. If you're looking for Hendrix stuff, check out Crosstown Traffic or Gypsy Eyes. Red House is good. Highway Child is my favorite. Nice. Thanks for sticking around. It's funny. Well, did you have a whole apple pie? No. Well, I had planned to start a new portrait today, but I think I'm just going to finish this one. Still got a little while to go. I just want to pull some more contrast in here. Get it a little bit closer to the photo. Something I've talked about before in other videos, if anyone's curious about the approach that I take to a major part of my drawings, is light source. I'm also a photographer, and I do work with lights, not as much as some, because I prefer natural light, but if you establish where the light is coming from, it changes your drawing quite a bit. So he's actually hard lit from this side, which if you even look like the reflections in the eye, that's a pop flash there. On this side, it's more centered towards the nose, and on this side, it's also towards the nose, which you normally wouldn't see, but it's taken on a wide lens with a pop flash. And then these shapes are actually reflections from natural light in the room. But because of that, the light coming from this direction, it casts a harder shadow under things like his nose here, on his lips, his chin. But I'm drawing with all HB lead, so it has to be done in multiple layers or with a lot of pressure. But too much pressure on HB is a little unforgiving because I don't want to gouge the page. I'm gonna open the window and see if we can have some fresh air. Might hear some city ambience, which in San Francisco just means like screaming homeless people and sirens. It's kind of halfway kidding, but mostly true. Actually, now that I'm looking closer at the reference photo, I think that this side of it is actually Jim Marshall, the photographer, which could be cool to emulate. Yeah, it looks like it is his face. Well, it's kind of in there. See if I can add him a little bit in this one. Real trick here is that I don't want to completely black out his eyes. There's a really hard black outline around Jim Marshall's face. Getting a little page gouge there. There we go. Little nod to Jim Marshall, the photographer that took it. It's too small to really recreate, but that's his face on the side of the pop flash there, reflecting in Hendrix's eyes. Oh, see you, Nolan. Oh, you're still here? I thought you were taking off. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna finish this one today, and then I've got another portrait plan for tomorrow. I was planning on starting another one today, but I feel like this one deserves a little bit more time. Nice. As soon as I open the window, somebody starts doing dishes really loud. Pretty sure that's our downstairs neighbor. Which is funny because he is a subscriber. guessing at this point that most people either watch without the sound on or there's a language barrier. Or maybe like people are second screening and watching a show and this is on in the background. Just seems like there's like a severe lack of interaction. Not from Nolan, but in general. I haven't even gotten trolled yet. Not that I'm aching to be trolled, but last time when I was doing our daily live streams, that was kind of a regular thing. Sort of let me know I was doing something right. At least the algorithm was pushing my live to trolls. Oh, here comes some sirens. Might be loud. Yeah, so far I haven't had a lot of interaction with Mexican viewers. I was kind of hoping morning streams would make it a little bit more accessible to people on the East Coast and Europe. But we'll see. I'm going to give it a little time. Keep doing the morning thing for a while. Prefer this anyway because it gives me more time to lift and run, do stuff with my family. I've seen like a recent uptick in a lot of live streams that are basically people just debating. So maybe I should like open the floor up to arguments while I draw. Definitely pass the time differently. Originally, the idea for these was to eventually have like a bunch of my musician friends come on and play live while I draw. But as per usual, they're all lazy and bad with time, so every time I scheduled one, there would be some issue. It's kind of why I draw like this, because I'd rather not have to rely on other people. But I don't know, it does make me wonder. I mean, I'd say the average person that I've seen in those online debates is not the sharpest tack, but I think it just is more about the people that are willing to go online and argue. It's always hit or miss as well. Like if I'm talking, sometimes it chases people off. Sometimes it encourages more interaction, so I have no idea really. Some days I don't even feel like talking, I just want to draw. Yeah, I think you're talking about allegedly Ian. That's who I was talking about as well. He's oddly enough one of the most popular debate guys I've seen. He's all over YouTube and TikTok. Which I've watched a lot of those. That's kind of what I was referring to. There's him and Dr. Blitz and then one other guy. Which oddly enough, like that is an area that I'm really well versed in. It's pretty much like a lot of my favorite authors used to do the same kind of debates. But I don't really dig like the cortisol dump of arguing with people that are unwilling to hear things. You know? But it's definitely, it's kind of like, I respect it because it is a reverse racket type thing. It's kind of like the opposite of like the Billy Grahams of the world, which is also a dated reference, I understand. But it's like somebody basically making money off of debating something that they, you know, spend all their time having, like, creating arguments and strategies on how to debunk every argument that might be presented. I think a lot of people don't realize that it's more of an exercise in debate than it is about like the topic, which I recognized right away when I watched them, because unlike like some of my favorite writers are Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins. I actually went and saw Richard Dawkins last year. Or well, earlier this year, I think, whenever his last tour was. I have an autographed book by him. They debate on their realm of expertise, whereas those channels that are popular from debating God's existence and all that, they're more relying on the strategy of a debate. So it's one of those things where you could essentially run an experiment and assign people a topic that they have to debate, and those guys will be able to do it. Which is kind of like the opposite of what I liked about the Hitchens days and all that. Which I think, like, in more recent years, he's gotten a bad rap, despite being gone for a while. But it is interesting to see that that's kind of like what a lot of people's algorithm is driving. I mean, I think it helps that he streams every single day on multiple platforms. And honestly, it is entertaining. It's very dependent on the guest. Sometimes it's maddening to listen to. I've done a couple runs this week and listened to it in the background. I think the net positive of stuff like that is that there are a good number of people that go on and debate, and they have, hey, how's it going? I remember talking with you before. The thing I was saying about the net positive is that when there are cordial debates, it shows people that you can disagree and get along, which I think is like a lost art now, or at least in the last like 10 years or so. I feel like I'm right in that sweet spot of like age of remembering more nuanced debates before like everyone was quick to want results publicly. Two regulars, Bossatron, Nolan. I'm back on daily for a while, by the way. 10 a.m. my time on the West Coast. Nice. Yeah, I just started going back on live. I think this is number 6. I took a month and a half off for some vacation time, and also I got trolled pretty hard and just felt like it was a low attendance day, and I was about to go do a big long trip, and I just felt like maybe I'll take a break from live streaming for a while. But at least until the 18th, I'll be on at the same time every day. Do a little bit more travel, and then I'll be back to daily streams. And to be fair, I tried to plan streaming for when we were traveling, but it was kind of spotty Wi-Fi, and I kind of gave up on the idea while we were on vacation. But this next trip will be with family, and I'll have Wi-Fi, and I'm guessing a good amount of time just kind of hanging out, so maybe I'll live stream some smaller drawings. Also sort of like personal, 18th of November, so like on the 18th of this month of November, I'm going to stream at 10 a.m. every day until then, or well, until the 19th. And then while I'm traveling, I'm not sure if I'll be able to consistently go on at the right time, but I might do like some 15-minute streams or something to just do like little portraits. But I was gonna say some like exciting, like personal stuff. The company that makes these notebooks that I draw in, the leather and the paper, they brought me on as an ambassador for them. And so I've got a little package showing up pretty soon from them, which is a little bit more attuned to traveling and doing these portraits, which I can travel with this, but it's just a lot in a bag. But yeah, it's like one of my favorite companies I've worked with for a long time through my old job, and they started a new program to kind of like bring on artists and people that support their brand. So they're sending me a bunch of stuff to try out, and then I should see those popping up in my videos, because it's basically an A5 version of this that I'm using right now, which this is an A4. It's well, you can see exactly how big it is. This is a 6-inch ruler. So that's like the relative size of this, you know. And the other one's A5, so it's going to be not quite half the size, but a little bit smaller, so easier to throw in a bag. Also, we'll be able to film a portrait a little easier because it's not such a large canvas. But and then I also have my pocket size one that I always carry. But especially while I'm trying to get all these series done for gallery sales and prints and different things that I'm trying to get some, I guess, merchandise, for lack of a better term, done for. I want to be able to do full-size A4 portraits as well as the A5 ones, so it gives a little bit of range. And then the other cool thing is that they gave me like a permanent discount code. So if anybody wants any of the drawing stuff that I use in terms of like the portfolios and paper, there's a link in all my bios and all the descriptions of the videos. And it's 30% off bundles. Which I don't make anything from that. It's just kind of like a company that I've wholeheartedly backed for a long time. Basically just trading for more equipment to develop the art further. Which, something cool, this portfolio, after I finish this I'll show you more of it, but this was actually a gift from the owner of that company because he liked my small art so much. And when I was at my last day job, he basically said like he would love to see my art larger, and he and the VP of their company were kind of like whispering, and then they were like, we're going to send you something when we get back, because they're based in Vienna and Paris. And sure enough, a couple weeks later I got this portfolio. It's embossed with like my initials and stuff. It's cool. It's like, I don't know, I asked him also, like, because at the shop that I worked at, I used to sell these journals all the time. Everyone kind of gave me a hard time because it was all I ever sold. Once people came in and wanted like Japanese Tupperware stuff, they lost my interest. Like, oh, this other person can help you. But I mainly sold these journals because I do actually use them daily, and I'm a big advocate for it because it's like good for journaling, good for drawing. See, I'm missing some of the chat. Must have got some of the. Reminds me when I was asked to raise their black satin replacement for my cousin because it broke so. Yeah, it's I see the correlation there. And yeah, like if you're looking for gift stuff, it's a good option because like even though they're bundles, it's like all stuff that you need for it to work. So you can get like the leather book and then like whatever refill would suit that person. So if they draw, I would recommend these because you can also paint in these. Like you could do watercolor on this paper. You could do fountain pen ink. It'll hold pretty much anything because it's pretty thick paper. But they're also bound where they lay completely flat. That's why I draw on these, because it opens like an album gatefold, so you never have to hold your pages down. But yeah, when my new setup gets here, I'll do like a demo video so you can see it. It's basically the size in between my small drawing journal that I've shown a lot and this one. So I'll be able to kind of have like 3 official sizes of art that I make and sell. But they make good gifts because they like, I always used to tell people if you need like gift ideas in the future, you just buy refills and little accessories because they make all kinds of cool stuff. Exactly, yeah, it's like the perfect art book. You can draw pencil, pen, fountain ink. Like I use like a really heavy Micker Japanese fountain ink, and it bleeds through like moleskins, it bleeds through a lot of art books, but in these you can saturate a whole page and it'll bleed a little bit if you close it, but if you let it sit and dry, it's fine. And then all of my watercolor paintings are in these books. So it's a cool setup because it's like the most versatile. So even if you want to do like mixed media in one book, you can. Which, hang on one sec. See if I can reach some of my old art books and I'll show you. At risk of like a creative avalanche. Couple things fell. Oh yeah, so these are two good examples. I'll just put that stuff up later. And my storage cabinet for all my art supplies is right above the desk, so. All right, sorry for all the noise. Okay, so just to show you, like these are the pocket-sized versions of what I'm drawing in now, and these fit like in my. So I have this one that's kind of overstuffed right now. That fits in this. They're just like refills that work on a band system. But just to show like the sort of like multi-faceted stuff. So these are all fountain pen ink. These are some old sketchbooks. And this is all kind of like directional notes, like on light studies and where things would cast shadows and how the shadows would look. That's all fountain pen ink. So that's that heavy ink that I was talking about. And you can see like it doesn't bleed through from page to page. Let's see. Got some birds. That's all fountain. This is actually a brush pen. I hated it. I never used it again after that. More birds. And then this is where I started doing a lot more like fountain pen sketches of like different structures. So like heavier ink. No pencil sketch on these, it's just ink right away. And then these are like, this is a composite from a few different reference photos. It's like a sort of falling apart scene. I was going to draw some of the Honda Valley behind this, but I just left it. This is the Sutro Baths cliff house that fell into the ocean after the big earthquake here. And this one's unfinished, but I liked how that looked. And then again, this is the same book that I'm using right now. It's just the smaller version. So these are all fountain or micron ink. And then this is actually watercolor on the same stuff. So that's like pencil sketch, then ink drawing, and then watercolor. And from page to page, they don't bleed through. And this is all kind of one little scene, like little close-ups within the houses. And then again, like that's all micron ink, I think, if I remember correctly. And then on the page behind it, there's like a full watercolor that had a lot of layers in it, and it didn't bleed through at all. Not homemade, this is a Paper Republic book. So it's the small version of what I'm currently drawing this portrait in. And these are just my sketchbooks. So like this is all what I used to carry most of the time when I was working still. The code's in the description of the video, and it's also in my bio on my YouTube page. But like, yeah, that's paint, that's ink, no bleed through at all, because all the pages are double bound, so like you can really put a lot of ink on it. And this is just kind of all different styles of drawing. That's all fountain pen. And some of these are like exercises by other artists that encourage people to copy them and send them in, which is a lot of what the stairs are. The stuff, there's like little unfinished things. This is something I used to show people at work to kind of gauge whether or not they were reading it. It's like a little single page sort of article illustration. So it's kind of like that house at various ranges. And I could always tell if people read it or not, because they said, so like they would go, oh, that's nice, or they would laugh if they actually read it. But it says John's family left him a house and land, but it was a piece of shit in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of like a little rude comic. And then these are all sort of, this is all fountain pen ink. It's pretty unforgiving. And this is when I was getting into more like architectural, like technical drawing. Ships and boats. Which, like, some of these, a lot of people were drawing this. So I did like my version, kind of hated it. That was my favorite. These were another little sort of like quick study. So each one of those is, I think, a minute or less. And the idea is just to create sort of different people with different builds. These were totally botched, so was this. It's just kind of like busy work. Let me close the window. That's Nick Frost. It's a little pencil sketch. Some like simple houses. This is like what I teach beginners for painting, is like starting with box frames. It's a really poor portrait of myself. There's Jeff Goldblum. Some more stairs. So this is kind of what I mean. I drew this and immediately closed my book and it's speckled all over, but that's fountain pen ink. It's kind of like experimenting to see how much there's George Orwell, how much I could get away with. There's Christopher Hitchens, speaking of. There we go, it's Walt Whitman. That's my daughter as well. And then these are just like studies on learning like photoreal pencil drawings. That's literally the first couple pages of drawing without a grid that I ever did. And then sort of back to, that's like a little flower my kid gave me. I taped in there. That's all fountain pen ink. So these books are, it's just a Paper Republic drawing book, and it's bound where it lays completely flat. So you don't have to clip any pages, they just kind of lay down when you open them. Here's another one. Let's see. Yeah, so these, it's kind of more of the same, just different stuff. There's the inside of Bag End, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. That's from looking from inside the Hobbit house. And then these, that one is from a photo reference. These two are from imagination. That's fountain pen ink. These two are actually ballpoint. That's a Colotina pen. There's more, that's another Hobbit reference outside of Bag End. But just kind of like talking about what I was, or showing what I was talking about earlier. This is all micron and paint, and that's the very next page. This is fountain pen ink, and it doesn't bleed through at all. So they're kind of like the perfect art books. Oh yeah, I remember this page, or this one. I kind of gave up on, these were just a little too sloppy. It's when I was doing pen portraits. Like here's the first attempt at drawing those Tom Hardy things. These were all varying times, so like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15. If you look back on all my live videos, there's a full-page version of this. There's also multiple pen drawings of him. There's Ryan Sickler. It's kind of more of the same. This is actually from a lesson. One of my students wanted to learn how to draw the farm across from their property. And so I was teaching him sort of how vanishing points work and anchor points to make buildings look the right way. And then ultimately he brought me a photo where you can't really see much of the vanishing point or the horizon, so it's just kind of a flat drawing. These are kind of like Jim Dale style painted houses. It's also watercolor. More of the same. That's all, this is a pretty bad drawing, but that's all fountain pen ink. Tree scales, that's another thing I have students do, is draw the same tree over and over at different depths. I was waiting on a drink at a busy bar, and the guy had his takeout food on the counter, so I just started drawing that. More tree scales. This is all fountain pen ink as well. And more of the same. These are all geometric studies from different little online classes I've taken. Most of them I kind of abandon. I get bored after the first lesson or two. It's sort of why I just started drawing what I prefer to draw instead of trying to learn a new technique every few months. These are all fountain pen as well. Those are ballpoint. And this ballpoint as well. This one's garbage. That one's not too bad. That's a scribble method, so it's intentionally messy. It's kind of to capture someone's essence instead of hyper details. There's anatomy drawings, muscles and joints. But this is one book. These are kind of in Martin Lockmere style. And that's all fountain pen ink as well, with watercolor. And then my little cartoons on the backside. But just as a good example, these books, you can draw with anything. So if someone's creative and they like to draw or paint, that's your best bet, because most other books aren't that versatile. I used to use moleskins all the time, and they're trash. They're like, there's a lot of history to them, but it's kind of the same as like a Blackwing pencil. Like there's history, but it's not exactly the same company, and they're not all forest friendly, and the paper is kind of lightly waxed. So I'm not a big proponent of using those books, but Paper Republic has like a bunch of different ones. They have a specific watercolor book. They have this drawing book that I use and paint and draw in. And then they have like writing books and different stuff like that. But make really good gifts. I have, I mean, in this room, I think I have 4 of them. I've got another one on the way, and then my family all have them. Anyone I've ever given a gift to in the last 4 years has gotten one of these things, so it's kind of like a built-in, like the few people that are left out are still wondering when they're going to get their gift. But yeah, anyway, all the links or the stuff is in my bio, or the description of all these videos, it's in there. So there's a link you can click on and it takes you straight to their thing. And then there's like a discount code that has like my name and something. But it's definitely like my favorite thing. No matter where I go, I have my pocket one in my back pocket or coat pocket. And then if somebody wants to make art that they tear out, you can actually cut the books up pretty easily because of the way they're bound, so you can leave out the pages. But it's one of those things where I feel lucky to be a part of their whole program, because I've been such a proponent for that company. Oh yeah, I was gonna explain, when I finally met the owner of Paper Republic, I asked him why he started it, and he just said he wanted a high quality product and was tired of things being more like profit driven than quality driven. So they'll really stand by that. Like the whole team is really cool. Everyone that works there is very on point. Like seems like they all love their jobs. Later, Nolan. But yeah, I don't know, it's cool. I just kind of reached out to him since I'm like, even when I'm traveling, I don't work for that company anymore that sold their journals. I still end up talking about them all the time because I have it with me everywhere. And they've been like so supportive of all my art and everything because they were really supportive even when I was just kind of learning different styles and teaching different things for individual private classes. So I wasn't really like making this type of art yet. But a lot of it I can attribute, like people always ask how long I've been drawing. And I always say I've drawn my whole life, but really seriously only in the last 3 or 4 years. And a lot of that is attributed to having one of these books on me all the time. It's just sort of like instead of being on my phone or if I'm waiting for a plane or something like that, I'll get my book out and draw. It's good for journalers too. You can fit multiple styles of books in one cover. So, but I attribute a lot of like my quick learning process to carrying one of those all the time because it fits in my back pocket. But the progression of my art and skill is directly linked to all those books. But also the book I'm drawing in right now, I would never have probably, I don't know, I wouldn't say never, but it's highly unlikely I would have ever purchased one this size because I was just so used to carrying the pocket size one. And Jerome, the owner of that company, was just really adamant about how he wanted to see my art larger. And so he just sent me one for free, which is, you know, something I'm not really accustomed to. But that's before I was even like considered to be like an ambassador for their company or anything like that. That was just because he liked that I relied so much on these books that he was like, here, have something that'll help you. Yeah, really, really generous company. Let's see, you said feels disrespectful being on a phone while waiting for stuff. Yeah, I do the same. Like I pretty much have like one of these, or especially if I'm traveling, I'll have a book. I also just get tired of like how I feel when I look at my phone nonstop. But there's all kinds of like studies about the impact of uh, sort of mindlessly journaling or doodling, just kind of drawing, even if you're not like a great artist. There's all kinds of benefits to it, especially if you make it like a regular habit, which is why I'm so obsessed with it all. Same thing with like how you process like memories, and if you're trying to plan something, or you know, like I used to do a lot of music videos and photo shoots and stuff along those lines, and I always hand wrote my notes, and it was kind of amazing because I would be in production and somebody would say something contradictory to what they insisted on in a meeting, and I'd have to be the guy that pulled out notes like, well, I didn't write this for no reason. So you realize how much people, especially in those creative rooms, are talking just to be talking. They don't have any conviction in their ideas because they'll contradict themselves. I kind of had like a portable tally system, but writing stuff down commits things to memory differently, creates a different neurological pathway. Yeah, that's, I mean, I think that's like a victory, like having less screen time than everybody. I will say, like, I listen to stuff pretty much nonstop, but that's more so for noise control because we live in such a noisy area. But I try not to be staring at my screen all the time. It just really drains my thought process and all kinds of stuff that it's not good about looking at screens. As I live stream to people who are watching exclusively on portable screens. But yeah, if you've been looking at your screen all day, don't look at this. Come back and watch it later. All the videos will be in the archive, so if you feel like you missed something. I don't archive the chat, but usually that's why I try to read out what people say, so there's context if I'm talking in the videos. Are you talking about the audio on my end? Like the plane, all that? Yeah, it's also right now because they're the air traffic control is like basically shutting down most places. They keep rerouting planes that come over our neighborhood because they have to fly out over the bay. Yeah, and that's just like the city noise. That's not even in our building. I mean, our downstairs neighbor does dishes like he's doing it from across the room, like he's throwing them in the sink. And then the guy upstairs, I'm convinced, is under the impression he's the only one in the building. It's one of the loudest guys I've ever lived next to. So yeah, because of that, I pretty much live in headphones, which is kind of a bummer. I do miss sort of being like a little more untethered, but for my peace of mind, it's a necessary evil. That is the other thing, like the city, I mean, regardless of where you live, there's not really quiet pockets of the city. And like more recently, not that I've like, we've talked a lot about motorcycles. I'm not anti-motorcycle, but there's guys who gang up and ride through all the red lights and stop signs. And that's become like more and more prevalent. I guess it's after the pandemic is what a lot of people were saying, that they started doing like those riding groups. But we're just close enough that we can hear that all the time. And we're also like close proximity to a relatively busy street, so which that noise, I can really blend that out a lot. It is really more the personal, like, neighbor noise. But it is, it's kind of funny how much it impacts like creative process. Like there's some days I don't feel like drawing, or I feel like the audio is going to be too bad because it's just constant noise around here. So I have to kind of power through and remember that, you know, eventually these are all just going to be time lapses, and I think most people understand that there's not a purely quiet place when you live in a city. And I say that from like a relatively soundproofed studio that I've made, but it's just old construction, so you can just hear everything. Yeah. I haven't read about that. I'm partially deaf in my right ear from like extreme noise exposure from when I was playing music, and it messes with me in the city because I only hear certain frequencies in that ear, and being around like the insane noise is kind of tough. Yeah, it's kind of encouraged us to reconsider how long we want to stay here. Because I'm originally from Texas. My wife's originally from Louisiana, so we both grew up kind of out in the country. And while I would move to the country again happily, she's not a country lady anymore. So, but I am starting to miss the ability to play drums in the middle of the day, or plug in a loud guitar amp, or run around the house a little bit without having to think about the downstairs neighbors. Yeah, that's a thing that I don't think a lot of people realize, is that like you can have like severe damage from just repeated loud noise. Unfortunately, I stood to the left of a drummer for the first handful of years. That's when I was playing bass and singing in a band, and that was kind of the beginning of my hearing going in my right ear. And then I was in like some heavy bands for a while, and I don't know, there was kind of like it's the same sort of vibe of like people thinking that helmets are stupid when you're skating. Like earplugs used to be like kind of frowned upon. And then I started playing with bands that actually made money, and everyone wore earplugs. It's funny how that correlation worked out. But now I have like earplugs that I pretty much carry on me all the time in case I don't want to have music in. Sort of like medium priced ones, not custom fitted, so if I lose them I can replace them and not worry about it too much. I'm getting to the point where I feel like this could be done, but there's also stuff I don't like how it looks. Okay, no worries. Thanks for stopping in. I'll be live at 10 a.m. every day until the 19th. So hop in if you want, or if not, the lives are archived even though there's not a dialogue going. If you want to watch, they're all there. All right, good luck with the, did you say it was a Mustang? Nice. Alright, I'm going to call that one done for now. Sometimes I'll come back and revisit these, but I feel like that's it for today. So just to kind of revisit, so far this is the second one in this new series. This is the first one, Willie Nelson. And then Jimi Hendrix. I'll be back on at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, Pacific Standard Time. And then eventually these will all be set for sale, the individual one-of-one as well as prints. So when that happens, I'll have links everywhere on my site and in my bio and all that. If you like the notebooks that I'm drawing in, or the portfolios, then there's also discount links in my bio and the description of all these videos. All these videos get archived, so you can always go back and watch or draw along if you want to learn. I'm always happy to answer art questions. And I will be on every day until the 19th, at 10 a.m. And then after that, I'll jump on here and there. But anyway, thanks for watching.